So when it comes to capturing drone video, you may have heard the word cinematic uttered 1 or 2 thousand times, but what does that actually mean? And what does it take? Like, what are the components that make up what we would consider a cinematic drone video? Well, after about 6 years of flying and watching many other people fly and create content with their drones, I think I have it narrowed down to the 4 most important things that your drone video needs to have to be considered cinematic. I know a lot of people don't like that word, but it is a great way to describe drone videos or videos that make you feel like you are there. So one way to define cinematic is having qualities or using techniques associated with good movies, such as drama, emotional intensity, visual or sonic artistry, epic narrative, and more. Now, cinematic does not just mean how something appears. Like throwing an ND filter on your drone and then filming with it does not automatically make your project cinematic. It's more than that. And that's what I hope you get from this video. I hope after watching today that you'll be inspired to try to create your own amazing videos using your drones. So the 4 things that I'm going to discuss in today's video are story, planning, music and sound, and variety. So first of all, as in any content creation, story is the foundation. You can't just fly around randomly recording this and that without having a story in mind. Now, this is something that Ken Heron is very good at. He uses his drones as a tool to tell a story, and he uses them to add perspective to bring the viewer into the story. It's one of the best things that you can do with a drone because it's a method of capturing the subject of the story that few people are able to do. So what you should do is find your subject, explore it and learn about it and experience it for yourself. And then using that experience, figure out how to tell your story to others. This could involve maybe writing a little bit of a script and then placing text on the screen as you fly, or you could voice over the script with a little story, which is going to be a little more impactful because the more senses that you can stimulate in your story, the more emotion it invokes in the viewer as they watch. Now, keep in mind that you don't need to tell the story with words. You can do that just by how you put your video together and how you present it to the viewer. So here's one small example that I found the other day from a very small YouTuber. His name is Claudio Sass. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but he has less than 200 subscribers, but this drone video has over 15,000 views. And he uses his Mini 3 Pro to tell a very simple story of his bike ride around Monte Levada and the surrounding scenery. His video really provided a great perspective of the area, and he captured so many different views and point of interests. And you could tell that he had planned this flight ahead of time and he wanted to tell a story with it. Speaking of planning, planning is the next component of a cinematic drone video that I'd like to discuss. Now, when you plan a drone flight, it's actually pretty simple. First, what I recommend doing is getting to know the rules of the area that you're going to be flying and understand if there are any restrictions. And next, if you're not already familiar with the area, I do recommend hopping onto Google and search the area with Google Maps or Google Earth. And I would even suggest doing this if you know the area, because sometimes you might discover a landmark or maybe a unique subject that you didn't even know was there. You can use your mapping research to figure out where you're going to park your vehicle, where you can launch and land your drone, and you can use that to figure out the best angles to be as efficient as possible when you are filming. I recommend using Street View to get a really detailed look at the area. The reason I think this contributes to the overall cinematic effect is because it helps prevent raw footage overload, and it prevents you from adding needless footage to your project. Like if you just went out to fly and you hit the record button and you fly around for 30 minutes or so, 90% of what you capture is going to be a waste, and it's overwhelming when you try to edit something like that. I suggest recording about 30 to 60 seconds maximum of a scene and then move on to the next. Position your drone, capture those 30 seconds, position your drone, capture those 30 seconds, and so on. Now, I'll talk about what sorts of drone shots to capture, but you could kind of pre-plan those in this step as well. Music and sound effects are absolutely vital to a cinematic video because this is where the whole viewer experience comes in. As I mentioned earlier, you want whomever's watching your video to not just watch it, you want them to feel it. And adding sound design is the best way to do that. When you're out flying on location, listen for the sounds that are around you. Try to focus on everything that you hear and write them down if you need to, or maybe put them in your phone so you can have them to remember when you're doing your editing. You could even try recording the environment with your camera or a digital recorder or even your phone. Maybe it's like a bubbling stream or the birds or the, bugs or the traffic sounds or the train coming by or whatever. So for example, this was our trip this summer down to Colorado, and check this out. Nice video, no audio. And I tried to remember all of the sounds that I heard while I was flying over this river with my Mini 3 Pro, because without any audio, it's blah, right? It's just boring. So to make it more memorable for the viewer, all I had to do was run over to Epidemic Sound, where I get all my sound effects and my music. I downloaded some of the audio that I remember from when I was there. I remember how loud that river was because it was the springtime and it was just rushing really loud. And then also we were right next to the highway that goes up to Rocky Mountain National Park, and there's always cars going by. And I remember the birds very specifically. And so I just downloaded those sounds, added them to this edit, and now check it out. It's an entirely new experience, and you feel like you're actually sitting there with me. When you get to the editing process, you need to add those things to the video to help tell the story, because as you know, drones can't record audio. Now, without the sound, you only have half the story. And even if all of your drone footage is beautifully captured and it's amazing, it won't be truly experienced without audio. And most often, some music as well. You can find music and sound all over the internet. Now, I've been using Epidemic Sound for all of my music and sound effects for 5 years now. And they're not sponsoring this video at all. I just like to tell everybody about them. The reason I've stayed with them for so long is because they have more music and sounds that I will ever need. Their music's copyright free, so I never have to worry about my content being demonetized here on YouTube or for my commercial projects. And they're the lowest price royalty-free music platform out there right now. I'm going to put a link in the video description if you want to check them out. And for a really good example of how audio completely makes a video, watch this video right here about Oregon from Devin Supertramp. And if you aren't subscribed to Devin, I recommend doing that. He's got about 6 million subscribers, and there's a reason for that. He is an amazing filmmaker. He's one of my favorite, and he is an artist at using audio to add that effect, that experience to his videos. Now, I'm certain that many of you are wondering, how would I even edit something like that? Now, that's an entirely different video, but I do have a couple of older tutorials that I've made, and I'll link them down in the video description if you want to check those out. Things haven't changed much about the process, like the software has changed a little bit, but the process is still there. So if you have no idea where to start with editing, check out those videos in the description. I am nowhere near an expert at editing, but hopefully those videos can at least give you a good start. Now finally, variety. A truly impactful aerial video project is comprised of a variety of different subjects, angles, and movements, all combined in a way to tell your story in an engaging way. So try to capture the things that struck you most when you experienced what you want to share with the world. Try to understand how to make the person watching feel the same way that you did when you experienced that story. Was it a particular location that you traveled to that left you with a core memory? Was it an event maybe that you were involved in that brought you some joy and you just have to share it? Or maybe it's something that you see on a regular basis, but after you see it from above, you just have to create something about it because you've experienced something new about it. When you are filming with your drone, try to capture different angles that draws the viewer into the experience. And when it comes to drone moves, don't overwhelm yourself, you guys. There are several videos there showing you the best 20 or even the best 100 drone moves for beginners. And those are great. But in my opinion, if you have 6 solid moves perfected, that's really all you need for the majority of situations. And the 6 that I prefer, and this is by no means the ultimate list, this is just what I prefer after flying for so long. I like the forward slow reveal. I like the point of interest with the tilt up or the tilt down. I like a backwards reveal. a rise up, a simple trucking move, which is just flying laterally, and a bird's eye view. These are the foundation of my drone movements, and then each of them can be slightly modified. For instance, rather than just a simple bird's eye shot from above, adding a rising bird's eye shot. And then you could add a rising bird's eye shot with a little bit of a rotation. Now, one other tip that I have to share with you, there's nothing like passing by an object very closely with your drone. It's very exciting for the viewer. And that's why FPV is so popular, because people love to experience that kind of flying. Again, there are literally hundreds of moves that you could do with your drone, but just don't feel like you have to learn all of them. Find your own basic 5 to 10 moves and then tweak them as you get more experienced. And with experience, you learn what kind of look that you like to show to people. But the bottom line is mix it up, because that keeps your viewer watching to see what's coming next. So is there anything else that you think makes up a truly engaging, memorable, cinematic video? Share it in the comments down below so everyone can see what other people are doing. Hit that like button if this video helped you out at all. And if you want to see more content like this video, I would ask you to consider subscribing to the channel. Last of all, watch this video right here next to learn about one of the most controversial topics when it comes to flying drones. Have a great day, and as always, fly safe and fly smart.